Hey everybody, Handy Camper and
Wifey Camper.
yeah. And here we got a big old chunk of deer meat here. We're getting ready to make some jerky. And we're going to go through the steps of how we make our beef jerky, deer jerky. Sometimes we do chicken jerky and we always use about the same recipe. But we're going to get this meat cut up into manageable pieces and get as much fat off as we can. We'll get back with you when we start cutting on this thing and show you the next steps. Trying to get as much as the fat as we can off. We want it as lean as possible for dehydrating. The leaner it is, the longer it'll last when you got it sealed.
We're just gonna cook that.
We got a couple of piles here. We got the throwaway, and we got some that will, with a lot of fat on it, that will cook. Yeah. And then we got a pile that will dehydrate.
Okay.
And then we can use these pieces right here for crock pot, or even just fry it up with some seasonings on it.
But there's like layers of fat. This whole piece needs to go. Well, that actually can be some.
We'll get some more of this cut up and then we'll be right back with you. After we got some of the fat off and stuff, we're finally making a little progress here toward the stuff that we'll use to dehydrate. And the rest we'll cook and make like a crock pot meal or fry some up with some eggs or whatever, you know. Looking pretty good.
It's just hard to get it thin.
Good dark meat. And this will make some really good jerky. I'll probably do this video in a couple different parts so it won't be so long and drawn out. We'll do like a first part of preparing the meat, and then maybe we'll do another one with making the marinade. Possibly. We'll see how long everything is, but as of right now, we're just preparing the meat to get it ready to go inside the marinade bucket. Marinade container.
Set that over there. Okay, my next chunk.
Alright, cutting the last little bit here. There's our pile that we're going to use for the jerky. And you can see some of it's still a little bit frozen in the middle, but that makes it cut a little better.
That helped me cut.
And we got a pile here for cooking, trash. And
a pile in a bowl.
And over here we still got some more that we're going to use for cooking with the fat on there. Because we're trying to make it as lean as possible. Yeah, trying to cut out as much fat as you can helps out a whole lot, keeping it, make it last a whole lot longer. Especially if you're just using a dehydrator. If you're smoking to dehydrate or doing it a different way other than a conventional dehydrator, it'll last longer if you smoke it and stuff like that. But we're just using a dehydrator at the highest temp that'll go. I think it's like, what, 165 or something like that?
One something.
Yeah.
I got that
160, 165, and we usually, depending on how big the pieces are, we usually go anywhere from 4 to 8 hours or more, depending on the size of the piece. And we keep checking it every hour and pulling out the pieces that are done. But first step is done. Cutting the meat, separating for what we're going to cook and what we're going to dehydrate. So we'll get back with you on the next step of making the marinade. And I usually make it about the same way every time. So stick around for that step. Alright everyone, I'm going to show you what I put in my marinade. We put, depending on about 2 pounds or more meat, we usually use about a whole bottle of teriyaki sauce. And this is the Kikkoman original teriyaki marinade sauce. We've tried a bunch of different kinds, and we've tried it over the years, lots of years we've tried, and this is our favorite. Even store brands we tried, some of them are okay, some of them are thicker than this, but this is our favorite. And it's got the best taste, I do believe. We like it, it's a whole lot better. So I'm going to put about a half a bottle in there to begin with. This might take a minute, so we'll get back with you. And the wife reminded me that I could take that piece out, so it might not take as long as we thought it was going to take. It's going to take this whole bottle for sure, because we've got about a little over, probably about close to 3 pounds of meat there or more.
So you might as well just put the whole bottle
I'm going to put the whole bottle in there. We usually start with a half a bottle, but I'm going to put that whole bottle in there. Whole bottle of teriyaki marinade and sauce, Kikkoman brand. All right.
You forgot the piece that you can take out.
Take out the piece, it'll go faster. All right. Next thing I like to add is the onion powder. And I never measure this out because I always taste it. I don't put any meat in first because I like to taste the marinade, the sauce first before I put any raw meat in there. So what I'll do is I'll get that covered pretty good with the onion powder on the top. Get a good little bit of that. Probably about, I don't know, maybe about a tablespoon or so, maybe a little bit more.
Probably a teaspoon or so, not a tablespoon.
Maybe a tablespoon.
Not a tablespoon.
Garlic powder. This is an older one right here. We about use it all. We keep finding it and forget we have it. But garlic powder, about the same amount. Probably about a tablespoon.
Teaspoon. I'm gonna have to get them out so he can see what the difference is.
Gotta get a little bit of that in there.
Because there's no way a tablespoon.
Next, I put cayenne pepper in there. This is one of the main ingredients. And depending on who's going to be eating this, add as much as you want to flavor, to taste rather. And what I usually do is I'll put just about that much in there, a little bit more, and then we'll mix it all up and taste it. I like to taste it. And then I put some crushed red pepper in there. As this sits in the marinade, it gets a little softer, and plus it adds a lot of flavor to the beef jerky. I'll put just about like a top layer of this on there. And then salt and pepper, regular black pepper. Put a little bit of that in there. It's so funny watching all the ingredients, kind of like when you put that in there. And a little table salt. Now the seasoning itself, the teriyaki sauce, is going to have a lot of sodium in there, so not too much at all. Then I'll get the fork here, and we'll just kind of whisk it. Whisk all the ingredients in really good. And I'm going to taste for the heat and also the flavor and see if I need any more onion powder, garlic powder, cayenne pepper. Oh man, that's about perfect right there. I'm going to add a little bit more cayenne in there though. That's going to be good. Add a little bit more cayenne in there. Now the next step I like to do, it's a little weird, but it's something that we've always done, I've always done. I'm going to get this meat and kind of lay it out a little flatter, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of onion and garlic powder on there, and some a little bit of cayenne and a little bit of red pepper flakes on top of that before I put it in there. And that way some of that touches the meat. I mean, you don't have to. We've done it both ways, and I just like to do this. It's just like a step I like to do. So we're going to lay this out and put a little bit of seasoning on there, then put it in the sauce. We'll get right back to you. All right, we got some of it laid out, and I'll just put just a little bit of garlic powder on there. I'll just do a little dab, not much, just to sprinkle it on there. A little bit of onion powder on there. Just sprinkle a little bit on there. And I'll just do just a little bit of pepper flakes. I like to do that. And just get a little, it ain't gonna touch all of it. Just put a little dab on here. Adds a little extra pizzazz to it. And just a touch of this on there. That way sometimes you'll get a little bite with a little more heat on it.
It's all coming off when he puts it in the liquid.
Not necessarily. Now I'm gonna pat on there. And I'll just do one side. One side's good enough.
Put it in the thing now?
And now we're going to put it into the marinade.
Yes, I'm only using one hand. You're good.
All right. I'm gonna get that in the marinade, and we'll do the rest of this and put it in the marinade, and we'll get back with you in a moment. Well, we've got all the meat in there, and we probably could have used less of the, I poured the whole bottle in there, but we probably could have used less than that. Probably could have used about 3/4 of that bottle, because there's a lot of juice left in there. We could put a whole lot more meat in here if we wanted to. But we're going to let this marinate. We like to go anywhere between 12 and 24. Most of the time, 90% of the time, it's 24 hours or a little bit more. And this is going to the fridge all night. First thing in the morning will be the next step. So that's probably where we're going to end this particular video. And stay tuned for the next one after this, and to see how everything turns out. Thanks for coming over. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. As always,
Plan.
prepare.
Practice.
Handy out.